Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. I am calling it right now. No asset class will perform like gold and gold miners in 2022. The drivers for higher prices are in place right now, and today I'd like to feature a strategy to capitalize on the coming bull market in gold. Our featured guest is Mr. George Drazinovic, the CEO of St. James Gold. Welcome to Looking at the Markets, sir.
Hey, David. Pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to tap into your knowledge base here. I believe that gold under $2,000 is a terrific value. What drivers will push gold, in your opinion, past $2,000 and beyond?
I look at it at three different drivers. One is obviously it's gotten a lot of media play, the debt accumulation around the world, right? But what if I like to dig a little deeper. It's not just the federal debt. So here in Canada, our national debt has doubled in the past couple of years, and it took us 150 years to get to where we were a couple of years ago. Now it's doubled. But you also have the provincial debts, state debts, city, municipal debts are being accumulated. Then you got the small businesses, personal debts. Imagine that restaurant that had to set out a line of credit to get through this pandemic. Well, does anybody realistically think that the governments around the world are going to let interest rates go up anywhere significantly? Sure, there'll be gyrations in the near term and some tapering and all this sort of stuff. But longer term, I see no way out of this inflationary pressures that we have. That's one side. So that's the demand side of gold. But I also look at it as far as a supply issue. In the past 10 years, discoveries around the world have really fallen off a cliff. The majors are not replenishing the gold reserves. And when you do find discoveries, the average grades have absolutely collapsed. So in the last 10 years, the average grade of a discovery has fallen about 50%. So that's the second factor. And there's a third factor, I think, is just market dynamics. Most of the oxygen in the marketplace is being taken up by the high-tech companies, and perhaps rightfully so. But as soon as you start having these major institutions rotate some of their capital, I'm talking some, not a lot, but some of it, because the gold market is so small in the greater context of investing marketplace, all you'll need is a little bit of capital being allocated to this sector, the gold sector, and you're going to have an explosion of companies, explosion of success in this investment space.
Yeah. Now, people who want to get in on the ground floor of the gold market, yes, you can have the bullion, but you can also get into the miners like St. James Gold. I'm going to put a link in the description below this video to stjamesgold.com. I want you to visit it. Now, your company specializes in Canada's Yukon Territory. What makes this such a prime region for mineral exploration?
David, the Yukon is home of the original Klondike Gold Rush. In fact, Dawson City, which I was just recently visited up in the far north, was one of the largest cities west of Chicago and north of Seattle at one time, over 100 years ago. The Yukon Territory is home to the Tintina Gold Province. So this is an exceptional gold province where it's been responsible for delineating over 200 million ounces of gold. There are incredibly successful entities in the Tintina Gold Belt, from Kinross's Fort Knox mine in Alaska all the way through to Victoria Gold, which is 30 kilometers east of us. Victoria Gold, David, as you may know, is Canada's newest gold mine in Canada, slated to produce about 200,000 ounces per year for the next 10 years. So we're in a great space, historically significant as well. The other aspect is that the Yukon is very mining friendly. I alluded to earlier that companies are looking at new discoveries in harder to get places. And we're talking, parties and entities in countries that are politically volatile. That's not the case in Yukon. In fact, the largest private employer in the province of the Yukon, or the territory of the Yukon, is Victoria Gold, second largest employer in all of the territory behind the actual government itself. So we're in a great jurisdiction that is very mildly friendly, no easy feat nowadays, and it has historical significance for the gold market.
Yeah, and those are some tips right now for people who want to invest in gold miners. Make sure that this has high prospectivity wherever you invest. Check the region. Check to see if there are neighboring companies that have had success in mineral exploration, and make sure it's mining friendly as far as the government is concerned, the weather conditions, all that good stuff. So what are the details of the deal that allowed your company, St. James Gold, to get access to what's known as the Florin Gold Project in Canada's Yukon Territory?
David, we're really excited about this project. This project, I kind of related to Halley's Comet. It came out of nowhere. This was a project that was mothballed back in 2011. It was last drill tested prior to this season in 2011. And because of the bear markets of gold in the subsequent years, even though they came out with strong results, the market didn't care. So the owner of this project took it private for the past half dozen years. And it was through my relationship with Stuart Jackson, who was on the project a decade ago, that I was even aware of this project. So we just announced this Florin Gold project a few months ago. We raised capital in a very short period of time on this project, and now we're going out to the marketplace to highlight to our investors that we have a 2.5 million ounce inferred resource that the market didn't know even existed literally 3 months ago, and that's unheard of in today's marketplace.
Yeah, it totally is. If people want to learn more about the stock on the OTC market, it is LRDJF, and on the TSX Canadian market, LORD. LORD is very easy to remember. I like that. Great ticker symbol there. Now, I want to know first of all, how big is the Florin land package? And I understand very little of this land package has been actually drill tested yet. Is that true?
Yes, David. I kind of look at acquiring this project as a divine intervention, so to speak, pardon the pun. This Florin Gold project represents 22,000 acres. So it's a big land package. And it was only drill tested. This 2.5 million ounce inferred resource was only drill tested on less than 80 acres. Put that in perspective, that's less than 1% of the overall land package. Now, beyond that, we have geophysical, geochemical, and geological evidence that suggests that this inferred resource is open in all directions, both laterally and at depth. If you look at the host rock, that's our target that we're going after over the next couple of years. That represents in excess of 10 cubic kilometers. So if you're looking at the volume of our inferred resource, and you're looking at in comparison to what we're going after, our target host rock, that itself represents less than 1/10 of 1% of the overall volume of the target. So a lot of upside. We've just barely touched the surface of this project, and I'm really excited to see what the results of our recent drill program is going to provide us, and also the next couple of years of drilling.
Yeah, folks, this is a valuable strategy for mineral exploration investment. Make sure the company has a sizable land package, and also if it has prospectivity, if it has the potential for mineral exploration and development, then you got yourself a potential winner. Also, check to see if the neighboring areas have companies that have successfully mined. And I believe this is true for the Florin land package. Is that right?
David, correct. 30 kilometers east of us is Victoria Gold, right? That's a monster story. They have a fantastic deposit, and they just started mining. They're also part of this porphyry intrusive rock complex, the Titina Gold Belt, and they're providing us a lens into what we can go after on our property in the future. But beyond that, there's Golden Predators Brewery Creek deposit about 35 kilometers to the west, literally right to the west. And you have the former Kaminak coffee deposit that was bought out by Gold Corp about 150 kilometers southwest of our property. They were bought out by Goldcorp for about $500 million a few years ago. These properties are similar to us, but they're also different in that Victoria Gold drilled about 1 million meters to get to their resource. The Brewery Creek deposit, about 300,000, just under 300,000 meters of drilling to get to their 2 million deposit, which is both in inferred and indicated categories. Same with Kaminak. Back then, they drilled about 250,000 meters of drilling to get to their resource. David, do you know how many meters we drilled on our property to get to our 2.5 million ounce resource?
I don't know.
17,000 meters.
Yeah.
There's no project like this to get to 0 to 2.5 million based on 17,000 meters. I don't think there's a project out there that can say that.
Yeah. Wow. Huge potential here. And it's not just about the Florin Gold project. St. James Gold also has an option to acquire a 100% interest in 2 Newfoundland assets, Grubline and Quinn Lake. So what details, just a quick recap, can you give me on those 2 properties?
Yeah, we're extraordinarily excited about these 2 properties in Canada's newest gold rush, right? Klondike, the original gold rush, Newfoundland, our new gold rush, provides our shareholders a diversified base of investments. Our 2 properties are adjacent to the new discoveries in central Newfoundland. They are called the Grubline and the Quinn Lake properties. They are adjacent to Newfound Gold and Marathon Gold, respectively. Both properties represent approximately 1,800 acres, and they're on trend geologically with these recent discoveries. In fact, the Keats discovery, which set off the gold rush for Newfound Gold, Fred Keats's grandson, Dustin Keats, was on our property. In fact, we have pictures on our website about him looking at surveying and taking the samples of rocks on our property. So we're adjacent to Newfound Gold. We're learning from their drilling program, and we're going to very shortly go after a sizable exploration program to provide exposure to our investors in this unbelievable new play. The same with Marathon Gold. So Marathon Gold's Valentine deposit, the largest deposit of its kind in Eastern Canada, and several other deposits, Leprechaun, Sprite, Victory. All of these deposits follow a ribbon, and it's called the Rogerson Lake Conglomerate. There's also a geological component called the Valentine Lake Shear Zone. That's important because these geological components represent the fertile gold corridor, and that fertile gold corridor runs right through our property in Quinn Lake.
Wow. So now how would you say the valuation of St. James Gold would compare with the peers, with the similar companies? What I'm asking is, what makes your stock so undervalued right now?
Well, I believe it's just for the sheer fact that we are in our infancy as a company. So I alluded to the fact that we have a 2.5 million inferred resource. That's backstop a lot of our financing. We just raised $10 million in the last couple months. So we're very excited about that. But 17,000 meters of drilling in the context of our peers, Brewery Creek, just under 300,000 meters drilled. Victoria Gold, 1 million meters drilled. Same thing with Kaminak and White Gold. All of these companies have drilled hundreds of thousands of meters of drilling to get to their resources, which I would argue, despite the variation in category, are similar in size. Victoria Gold perhaps further evolved, but nevertheless, the order of magnitude is that we have a deposit or a resource that is in excess of 1 million ounces based on only 17,000 meters of drilling. That's unheard of again. So I believe that in that context, we are just in the first inning of our company's evolution, and we're really excited to build out these assets to build shareholder value.
Absolutely. When a company can get a huge land package at such a cheap price, there's only one way, and that's up, I think, in the price of the stock. I believe so anyway. Never a guarantee, but this is what I'm thinking right now. What is coming down the pipeline in the future for St. James Gold?
So we just received DTC eligibility, and that's going to provide us a greater exposure to our to the investor, U.S. investor. as I alluded to earlier, we just raised $10 million, and that's no small feat, given that the markets have been choppy the past couple months, and the fact that we are a young company. So that's great in our favor. But we just finished a drill program in the Yukon. Again, very difficult in this time, given the lack of resources for human capital, the issues of COVID and the pandemic. But we were able to provide to complete a sizable, significant work program. In fact, we expect our assays to be sent to Vancouver. Currently, they are, and we expect those results to come in over the next 6 weeks, at which time we are looking to have an updated 43-101. We're also looking at building out our work program on our Newfoundland assets. We're negotiating with a couple of drillers right now. We're looking to engage Planet X to do further exploration on our properties and get them drill ready over the coming months.
Terrific. Gold is the answer. All right, whatever the question is, if it's how do you build wealth or if it's how do you protect yourself in any market. And I'm looking to the Yukon. I'm looking to Canada for the real prospectivity, and stjamesgold.com. I want people to visit that. On the OTC market, it is LRDJF. On the TSXV Toronto Exchange, LORD. You can remember that one, folks. Mr. George Drzinovic, CEO of St. James Gold, thank you so much for coming to Looking at the Market, sir. Appreciate it today.
Great. Thank you.